Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. This is the advanced tutorial for rendezvousing with planets and moons. Now, I was asked a few very nice questions by creators, so I did decide to make this a little bit earlier. The first question being, when you do decide to set your target as either the planet or the moon, in this case I'll select Minimus, you will get two sort of things that do pop up, that being the descending and ascending node. Now, you were right, creator, in the sense that this is the actual angle difference between your orbit and the actual target orbit. It means I'm 8.3 degrees lower on this side and 8.3 degrees higher on this side. As you do see that Minimus has a slant, that's why there is a 8.3. So there's really an 8.3 degrees variation in terms of the orbit of Minimus in relation to my orbit, which is pretty much nearly perfect zero. The moon has a perfect zero orbit. As you see, it's a nice straight line. Nice straight line, while you see the Minimus has a slanted orbit itself. So now for the advanced part, in terms of when I showed you how to get your actual intersects with, let me just give you an example, how to get your intersects with Minimus. If you didn't notice, you only get intersects in 2 points. And where would those 2 points be? Well, they would obviously be on the 2 points where you'd pretty much intersect with where you'd pretty much intersect with your orbit. So there we are, nearly there, and there we go. Now, as you see, the intersects are going to be there and here only with Minimus. Why is that? Because Minimus is slanted, and if you look at it like this, the only 2 points on level with me are the ones here. So this side and that side will pretty much give me an intersect, because remember, my orbit is perfectly circle, perfectly like horizontal, in relation to Minimus's, which is at an angle. So I can't pretty much intersect anywhere else except here and here. Now, the same principle applies for different planets and different moons. So if I'd want to intersect with Joel, instead of testing it out, what I could do is look at Joel, level it out with me, and then I will know that Joel's intersect point will be somewhere around here and around there. Maximum, of course, you'd have to play with it and maybe make the maybe make your projected target go a little further and below, and you'll see when you do get the intersect. Now, that is nice, but it isn't the most efficient way of doing it. Firstly, because you only have 2 points of intersect, and secondly, because when you do approach the actual thing, you're really approaching at a really sloppy angle. Now, another way of doing it, as I already did select Minimus as a target, of course this example can be used for anything else, is you will go then to your ascending or descending nodes, and to that point you will then change your ascending and descending nodes. Now, which one's which, I don't really care, I don't really know. You're going to use the pink, which is up or down. One of them is ascending and the other one's descending. Who really cares? What you're going to look at is it's minus 0.83. You need to try to get it as close to 0 as possible. So if I'm going to go up, it's 8.1, so that's correct. So if in case I went down, and it would be 9.7, it means I know I went the wrong way. So I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to try to get it as much as possible to, close as possible to 0. 1.4, 1, 0.6, 0.5, 0.1, 0.2, 0.2, shit, that was a little bit too much, and 0.1. 0.1 from that side and 0.1 from this side. Now, that means I did pretty much match my orbit with the actual target orbit, which is Minimus. As you do see, now I'm matched out in terms of my actual predicted angle as well. So what I could do is now obviously move to my node, which is t25 minutes away, which is here. And I'm here, so I need 25 minutes to go all the way around and start burning. Once it hits 0, I will start burning for 1 minute and 19 seconds. Now, this is debatable, and I'm sure probably it is correct. I've been told this. I haven't bothered testing it out because I don't bother doing it, but I've been told the best thing to do is not to burn all, wait till you go to 0, which is here, and burn for 1 minute 19 seconds. The best thing is to go halfway. It means if my time is 24 minutes, I'll go to 12 minutes, which is probably somewhere around here. and burn for half the time, which is 60 seconds, and then I'll move the rest of the way here on my actual node, and then burn the other half. You know, I've been told that is more effective. You know, it's up to you, but I presume that that is probably true, because I had a bunch of Kerbal people that played quite a lot tell me that. I have never bothered trying it, I just do it the way it is. I go to 0, t minus 0, and then I burn for the 1 minute and 19 seconds. Now, anyways, let's get back to our actual node. So what I did is, now remember, I made my actual angle. As you see, my angle now, my predicted angle is the orange one, is bent pretty much in relation exactly to my target, which is Minimus orbit. So my angle, my orbit angle, is the same as the Minimus. Now what I could do is now go to my node and burn, which means I just change my actual orbit and then extend my orbit. Now that is not fuel efficient, so the first thing you're going to do is what you saw me do now, is make my angle equal to the angle what I'm trying to get to. You know, because if your angle, your orbit angle, is equal to your target orbit angle, I really hope this makes sense, you will get more intersecting points when you move your actual target thing all the way around. I hope that made any sense. Normally when I moved my target all the way around with Minimus, which I just showed you, I only got 2. If I moved my target thing all the way around with the moon, I obviously got a hell of a lot more. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch part 1. Okay? You get more intersecting points with the moon because you and the moon are pretty much on the same level. That's of course if you went into orbit and you stayed at the 90 degrees, so you get a perfect 90-degree orbit around Kerbal. Now, back to this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try to hit 2 birds with 1 stone, in a way. So I fixed my actual angle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get in my orbit as well, all using the same fuel. So I'm going to try to do 2 in 1. Now ironically I actually get the orbit immediately, as you see, and that was just a fluke. Okay, I get the rendezvous immediately. Now remember, as you see, remember before I could only get the orbit somewhere around here and somewhere around here, but because I changed my actual angle to match crap, that's not what I wanted. Let me remove that, let me do it again. Because I changed my orbit angle to match the angle of the Minimus orbit, then I should be able to get more rendezvous points around the actual Minimus. So let's take a look exactly how many we can get. Okay. Now unfortunately also what you'll run into is sometimes the actual moon will get in the way of you trying to get a rendezvous with the Minimus, so keep that in mind, because remember the moon is also in your way. So the best way to go about that is to just make, let's say, a circle around Kerbal, you know, or just let a little bit time pass and move out of the actual pattern. So for example, there we go. Now obviously you gotta also use a little bit of intellect, right? If I know the Minimus is moving this way, if I make my actual projected thing behind it, obviously I'm not going to get a rendezvous because Minimus is moving this way. So obviously, so I get an encounter with Minimus, I need to project it in front of it somewhere. So probably around here I'm going to get an orbit. So if Minimus was here, I'm going to obviously try to project my orbit in front of it. You know, that's just logic, common sense. So do that. You know, I did this just in case, you know. So for example, if I shoot it behind it, then I'd move it all the way around. Unfortunately, I keep dragging other stuff with it. So let's move closer. Let's move closer, 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 closer. And that is a little bit short, we need a little bit more, so let's go a little bit more. And as you see, we do get one there. You could pretty much... That's the problem with this thing, I can't... Ah, we're probably gonna get one. A little bit. And we're gonna move it. And we messed it up. And there we had it. There it is. You see it's getting closer? So if I decrease, there it is. Hold on. There we go. And we do have our actual encounter there. So that's pretty much it. Now the second question creator asked was a pretty good one. How do you actually get the orbit, in case you're still new to the game, you don't know how to get an orbit? So once you get the encounter, as I said, I'm gonna get two birds with one stone. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna now burn, because remember my adjustment burn consisted of two. The first burn was the first adjustment was to get my angle the same as Minimus, and the second one was to actually get my encounter with it. Now why would that make a difference? If I didn't have the same angle as Minimus, I would pretty much only be stuck to 2 points of getting an encounter, which means here and there. Now if your actual orbit, if you weren't on Kerbal, if you were somewhere else and your orbit has a completely different angle, you need to adjust your angle, of course, to match the target orbit so you can actually even get an encounter. You know, ironically, I'm still on the same level, so I pretty much get it here. You know, but the good thing is, let's say if it would be somewhere here, it's now possible to get an encounter in front of it, which would be here. Normally, it wouldn't be possible. I really hope that made some sense. You know, before I could only get an encounter here and here. Unfortunately, in this circumstance, I got one here. But if I let the time go, I could get an encounter here as well. Why don't I just do that as well and just show you that? Just so you guys can see that. I can only go 50 plus. And hold on a second. Actually, is Minimus moving towards... Yeah, it's moving towards the left, so I was right. So anyways, so it's moving too slow and I'm too close, so I can't make 100 plus time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to burn and get the encounter, and then I'm going to show you how to get your actual, how to make an orbit around Minimus. Now again, I'm not going to do it the most fuel efficient way to get the encounter around Minimus. For you guys to check that one out, I would suggest you guys check my actual efficiency tutorial in fuel burning. So we're 6 minutes away. Again, I'm going to wait till I'm pretty much on course. 2 minutes, 1 minute, and 42 seconds, 40 seconds, 19, and we are there. Hold on, 2, 1, 0, there we go. So now I'm going to burn for those 3 minutes and 50 seconds, and I'll pretty much get the same, and then I'll get the encounter. So I'll see you guys once I get the encounter, and we'll continue explaining the actual advanced rendezvous tutorial. So now I'm back, and as you see, I have made a rendezvous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel my actual node, and now my rendezvous is 1.8 million meters away. Now what we're going to do is now time warp, of course, and get to that rendezvous. Now you got to keep in mind, when you're trying to get an orbit and your actual rendezvous, your actual periapsis is very close to your actual target. It means, let's say if it's not 1.8 million meters from your target, let's say if it's like anywhere below 200,000 meters, you run a risk of getting your actual orbit line, which is this, into the actual target planet. You know, now to stop that, you can make adjustments along the actual orbit line. So of course I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration, but the more in-depth one is done on my efficiency in terms of fuel efficiency. So take a look at that. Now you see I'm at 1.8. What I could do is I could go closer, 1.6, 1, you know, or I could go further. Now what you could do is play around, of course, with all these, and you can go closer, further. This is the original. This is what it would be if I moved it about. You know, so pretty much if it's, let's say, 200,000 meters, I'm not very, you know, comfortable with that. I'd make it anywhere between 250,000 meters away from my actual target, so I don't run into it. Because when you are trying to make an orbit, you will actually start to bend the curve, and it'll make it come closer to the actual target planet. So when you are trying to make an orbit, it means you're bending the line will bend in more. So if you have a little bit of you can say reserve distance, it's good because it'll come closer. So if it's at 300,000, pretty much it'll go down to 250,000, something like that, let's just say. So that's why I said it's good to have at least I don't know, 250 to 300,000 distance at least. You know, it really depends. If you're going for air braking, it doesn't really matter, but that's why I told you I would suggest you guys watch my tutorial for fuel efficiency. Otherwise, now one more thing before I'd like to jump is actually, just by looking at the encounter, you can see my encounter is 1.8 million meters away from my actual target, and as you can see, I'm going to be coming from up. It means my actual orbit circle is going to be coming all the way from up, all the way down. It's a really stupid orbit circle. So what I could do is actually fix this and make it better. So what I'm going to do now is let's say halfway, let's say somewhere around here. The further away, the less fuel you need to fix such a thing. So what I'm going to do firstly, I need it to go down. So purple circle down. I want it to go sort of on the same level as my target. So now I'm 9.960, but I think I'm pretty much on the same level, maybe a little bit lower. 900, 700, 200 there, you see. Now look at where I am and look at where the target is. And all that requires only 2 seconds of burn. So I'm at 290 meters and I'm a little bit higher than my actual, remember, I'm a little bit higher, so I'm going to get an orbit going from up, and I do want to try to get it as equal as possible. So somewhere down here would be perfect, because that way it'll be more horizontal. I hope that makes some sense. You just look at it in relation to where your periapsis is, and you try to get it horizontal, like beside your actual planet. You know, like that you'd have a horizontal orbit. Well, I hope so. I should get a horizontal orbit doing that. Both cases I do get a hell of a lot more closer, which in turn of course means I burn much less fuel to close in my orbit to get to that planet. Of course, more adjustments and stuff, as I mentioned a million times, is in my fuel efficiency, but that is pretty much it. So now, since we're done with that, let's move towards our node, which is 3 hours away. So let's go 12 hours, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, 56 minutes away, and 50 minutes away, 52, that's taking a little bit longer, and 7 minutes away. Let's move into position. And this is just a 2-second burn, so this is a very, very, very quick burn from our side. This is just to get the stuff where we need it to. Now don't lock on, because the 2-second burn will means that the blue thing will move around, so you need to follow it to get that perfectly. And don't even bother looking at the actual line if you're going about it. This is like, the small adjustments like this are very tricky, because you could mess it up and you could have an encounter into the planet. So there we go. Try to follow the blue line as much as possible. There we go. Now let's take a look at our periapsis. We are exactly at 223, so we got it even a little bit closer, which I don't like, because that's too close, and when I do want to make an orbit, I might actually hit the actual target. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it away, and to do that, I'm going to burn opposite to where my blue line was. So that'll be somewhere around here. Actually, no, I'm not even going to bother burning opposite where my blue line was. I'm going to burn with the yellow circle. That's 273. 500. Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that. What you got to do is you got to then burn towards the yellow circle to get it a little bit further away without changing the actual angle. Okay, now I did want to mention something also Creator mentioned. What do you do in case your actual, or how do you know if your encounter hits the actual planet? Well, that's very simple. You won't see your periapsis. So for example, if I make an encounter and I don't see my periapsis, I know I'm hitting the planet. So let's do that on purpose, just so you see. Let's try to hit my planet. Hold on. Encounter vanished. How far am I? 1.2, 800,000, 50,000, 25, 200,000, hold on, 60, 160, 20,000, so now we just gotta adjust it. Well, you get my point. I'm trying to actually hit the planet. If I hit the planet, the actual 7,000 meters, 8,000 meters, 6,000, 90,000. There we go. See? Now it's gone. So now I know I'm going directly for a hit of the actual planet. So that's how you know when you're going to hit the planet directly from making an encounter. So obviously, to prevent that, you're going to click on your actual thing, on your projected encounter, and you're going to change it so you actually get your periapsis mark, and that's really it. There's nothing more to it than that. So anyways, let's go for our encounter, and now we're going to show the basics of how to get to the actual orbit in case you really don't even know how to get an orbit with a planet. It's really easy. You just go, you get towards the yellow line, which is your targeted, because it's a line because I don't even know why, it's just a line when you make an encounter. Now what you gotta do is you gotta bend it, and remember my adjustments, I did get it as close as possible, so it is sort of horizontally. Remember before mine was somewhere here, so my circle, my orbital circle would go from all the way up, down to up. I hope it makes some sense. And because I moved it down now, it's hopefully gonna be a little bit more normal, or you know, less of an angle. I don't know, I'll see. So, to get an orbit, what you gotta do now is burn towards the yellow circle with the cross. That's it, you just gotta slow down. You gotta slow down, and I'm going only 256 meters per second, so I'm pretty much going nothing in relation to it. So I'm gonna need a very little bit of fuel, and I'm pretty much gonna get an orbit right away. Here it is. Let's put on our RCS as well. See how wonderful the RCS is? It helps you move so much easier. Okay, and now I'm gonna burn. Yellow with the cross, and watch the actual line burn. It takes a little bit of time, but it bends. It's gonna bend. Obviously when it bends, when you slow down more than enough below 100 meters per second, it'll make a perfect circle around it, so that's pretty nice. So there we go. 187 meters. I'm gonna let this go away. I know it's a little bit boring, but you know, you're gonna have to wait it out. Especially my engines, they're not really the most quickest, but they're the most effective because I have nuclear engines on my ship. So as you see, it's starting to slowly bend, and as I get closer, as I slow down more, it'll actually make the perfect orbit. So that's how you actually make a perfect orbit. Now remember, I mentioned if you're too close, remember if you're around 200, 230, when you make this maneuver, when you bend it, this thing goes a little bit closer. So you might actually hit the actual moon. It means you'll go directly in counter mode. You'll fly into the moon. So be careful not to make your orbit too close to the actual target planet or whatever it is. Now as you see, I am really 19 meters per second now. I'm very, very slow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue burning. I already made my orbit, and that's pretty much it. And the second thing would be is how to land on the sunny side and how to land on the dark side. That is also a very, very easy thing, but I will make that in a separate tutorial. As you do see, my actual orbit is a little bit curved, but who really cares? You got it. And if you want to change it, of course, the easiest way to do that is go, I think, on the opposite end. I'm not sure if it works this way. And there we go. And you can straighten it up if it really bothers you, but frankly it doesn't matter what angle you approach, because it really doesn't really matter. You can always land wherever you want, even if you have the funkiest orbit or orbital encounter or created orbit when you encounter. So I hope this pretty much answered most of your stuff, and the next one I'm going to make is in terms of how to land on the sunny side and on the dark side, and how to land on the same positions in case you want to visit one of your ships or one of your bases. How do you make it to land on the same positions? That's also pretty easy as well. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, happy gaming, and see you guys next time. And thanks again for your questions, creator. Bye.